Jeremy TV.
Welcome back to the channel. Jeremy here with you on a pretty nice spring day here in late April in southern Oklahoma. It's probably about 65 degrees, so the temperature's pretty nice. We got a little bit too much wind. It's probably blowing 15 to 20. Yesterday was in the 80s. We had some strong storms last night. Thankfully, we dodged hail here. Last week we had some tornadoes, not right here at our place, but all around. And it's just been pretty wild weather for us, in addition to the rain that has frustrated me for most of the winter and spring. So it's just been crazy, and it seems like we can't buy a break. So today's video is going to be the beginning preparation for something kind of crazy that I went and did. I went out and bought a barn, and I've always wanted to have a barn here on the place, a place to keep the tractor and the ATVs and maybe a car, because I've got a wife and two kids. We've each got a car, and then we've got one extra vehicle that is older that we use to pull the trailers that we own. And so we've got 5 vehicles, and I've got a 2-car garage. So the other 3 have to sit outside in the elements, in the severe weather that comes through. You know, the sun and rain's bad enough, but then when you've got hailstorms that are coming through, 3 of my cars right now are down at my neighbor's barn under his overhang, which is great. It's kept them out of 2 rounds of severe weather that we've had here in the last week. But his barn sits in a low spot, and they are currently in the mud, and they are more or less stuck. Now, we could probably get them out, but I don't want to rut up his land. And we've got 2 more cars, so no one's going anywhere right now. You know, everyone's still doing the social distancing thing, so it's not like we need 5 cars or even 3. So 2 is getting us by right now, but as soon as it dries up, I have to go get my cars out. So that brings me to the barn. I've kind of always wanted to have a place like that where I could kind of do some work outside in the winter and be out of the weather a little bit. And also, as I mentioned earlier, just a place to park the vehicles as well. So here, this is the first part of the first project of getting this barn ready and installed. So this little shed has been sitting here for several years. It's a cheap little plastic shed. I bought it used from a guy I knew, and the only thing we used it for was to park the lawnmowers, and it's perfect for that. It's a good place to keep the lawnmowers out of the sun and the rain and the gas cans and that sort of thing. So here we were just kind of breaking it loose from the ground. You know, it's kind of stuck in the mud, and grass had kind of grown over the edges, but it didn't pose much of a problem. So we've got it tipped up here, and the initial plan was to get the tractor up to it, rest one end on the bucket, have Mackenzie drive the tractor while Madison and I were lifting the other side and walking with her. I thought that would work. Turns out it didn't. Madison was having trouble keeping her grip on the underside of the building, so we ended up abandoning this idea for getting this done, and then eventually used the trailer. But you'll see Mackenzie here in just a minute. I was kind of giving her some direction. She's not quite as sure of herself on the tractor as Madison is, just because she hasn't had as much time in the seat. But you know, she's always willing to get in there and try. I'm pretty proud of my girls. They they're willing to jump in and do pretty much anything I need them to do. They may not be as skilled at some things, but they'll always try, and they're very good at listening to directions. So this seemed like a really good idea at the time. It just didn't work out for us. You'll kind of see that throughout these videos. There'll end up being several of these barn project videos. Even though I didn't build the barn, it took a lot of prep work to get it ready to be installed, and then I did take a lot of neat footage of the barn itself getting put up. But this was the first site we'd selected for where the barn was going to go. We decided to put it in between the dog pen there, kind of in the background where that big cedar tree is, and the storm cellar, which is just off the lower right corner of the screen here. There was about a 28-foot gap in there. I found a building that was 24 feet that gave me just enough room on either side to mow, and it's kind of a The plan here was to keep the building kind of out of sight as much as possible. This is kind of eyesore row as far as what we consider, because I don't like the cedar trees, but it provides shade for my dog, so we leave it. The dog pen's built around the cedar tree. It's not a terribly attractive dog pen. I mean, I've seen much worse. But then you've got the storm cellar, which kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. The four-wheelers have always been parked there and covered up. It just kind of, it sort of looks cluttered to me. And we thought putting the barn here would be a way to keep, you know, all of the clutter together. Not that the barn is ugly per se, but we don't really want to take from the house more than we need to, because we've always been proud of the house. Seeing it from the road, we want the focus to be on the house, and you know, anything else is just kind of a distraction, I guess. And not that our house is huge or fancy or anything like that, but you know, we built it new 4 years ago. It was our dream to get out here in the country and get this house built. We're very proud of our place, but it just ended up being a huge project, bigger than I wanted it to be for leveling, because that terrace that runs through there that I've mentioned in previous videos, it's holding water. It was going to be a big mess to get that area level because of that terrace. So we ended up abandoning this site anyway, so we didn't even, as it turns out, we didn't need to move the storage building. But it did work out, because the storage building is now in a spot that's more level than this one was. The doors open and close easier, and it actually sits a little bit higher, so I don't think it's going to be as prone to getting water in it when we get a lot of rain like this site was prone to do. So we went to plan B for moving the storage building, which is what we should have done as plan A. We got the flatbed trailer, threw the building up on it, and moved it over to the spot where it sits now. I thought it would be easier to do the other way. I didn't want to have to take the brush hog off the back of the tractor. You know how 3-point implements can be sometimes. It's a pain in the tail. I had to put the drawbar on, hook up to the trailer and all this stuff, so I wanted to avoid that, but it turns out it was not avoidable. This video was actually recorded in April when I started this project. I think it was probably late April. You can still see water standing there in the ruts where the tractor would come out of its parking spot. And now that it's June, when I'm doing the voiceover, we're really dry. And we're not quite in a drought yet, but it's been very dry. I'm actually glad it's dry, because parts of my pasture that have been soaked for months are finally dried out. And it's nice to have it dry, but we probably could use some rain. I never thought I'd say that this soon with the last several months that we've had. Here you can see me back. Mackenzie actually tried initially backing the tractor. She's not a very good backer because she hasn't had any practice at it, so I just jumped in there and backed it up to the spot I wanted it. So anyway, this wasn't a huge project. It was mainly just getting this building moved for step one. There'll be more videos to follow, getting the pad ready for the barn, and I've got to get those edited up and put out. But no, it's been a little while since I've had a video out. Hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate you being here, and as always, hope to see you again soon.